If you've ever wondered about cycle syncing and how this fits into your journey of trying to conceive, then this episode today is for you. I'll be speaking with a special guest who explains exactly how getting to know your body and your cycle and what you need at each phase really means for your fertility, and when you do so, how it gets a chance to thrive. I found so much of this conversation fascinating, so stay tuned for all of that and so much more. Welcome to your journey to fertility. This is the podcast that blends both science with spirit to give you all the tools you need as you navigate your fertility journey. I'm your host, Jennifer Edmonds, and for the last 15 years, I've been helping women on their journeys to motherhood and beyond. I believe that combining the latest scientific research along with the best energetic and mindset practices will help you to avoid putting your life on hold and bring you closer to your baby. Here each week, you'll learn ways to support your fertility and trust your body so you can stop stressing that you'll never have a baby and finally walk your path to motherhood. This is the Your Journey to Fertility podcast. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. I am so thrilled to have you with me today because I have a really fun conversation coming up for you. I am chatting with my good friend, Laura Wilkes. And this is one of those conversations where I feel like it was just, two people with a cup of tea catching up on old times, because it's just all of this information that I am so passionate about. And it's things that we should be learning at school, but of course we don't. And a lot of this stuff I learned in my mid to late 30s. And I had just so wished I had learned so much of it sooner. So I am bringing all of Laura's wisdom to you today in my hopes that it will help you. Laura is a women's health coach. She is a yoga teacher, and she's also a trauma release expert. She is currently training to be a Chinese medicine doctor and an acupuncturist. And she combines all of these different therapies that she is trained in such a beautiful package to be able to support women on their journeys to motherhood, but more just to be able to heal their relationships with their bodies and themselves. And I think that will really come through when you hear her speaking. So I hope you get as much out of this conversation as I did. Let's get started. Here is Laura. Laura, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to talk to you today because I have followed you on social media for a long time, and I love everything that you share. And I think it fits in so beautifully with the work that I do and everything that I want to get out to women who are trying to conceive. So welcome.
Thank you for having me. I feel exactly the same about you.
Well, let's start by learning a bit more about you. So if people aren't aware, what is the kind of work that you do? Who do you serve?
So I am a women's health coach, and I kind of started my journey just focusing on menstrual cycles and periods and cyclical living. And it's kind of grown through fertility into stress management. And it's just kind of this holistic package, I guess, to help women navigate life as a woman in this busy modern day.
Yeah. And it's funny, isn't it, that you think you start off with one thing and you realize that it's so interrelated when it comes to women's health.
Definitely, that's the thing. And it's like you sort of, you can't make it isolated, and that's what holistic living is, isn't it? It's like, it's not just like that one thing over there solo. It's like that one thing and that one thing. And I always just think with that, this massive jigsaw puzzle, and you've got to find all the little pieces and slot them into place.
I know, that is so true. I want to start by talking a little bit about stress, because this is something that you speak about so much. And I think that everyone, no matter what you're going through, you can relate to this feeling of being constantly stressed. Why do you think it is that we are in this state so much these days? And how do you notice it shows up in your patients and your clients' lives?
I mean, stress is a big one, isn't it? And I think a lot of women will come to me and say, I don't feel very stressed at the moment. And then they'll reel off day-to-day lifestyle habits and how they eat and kind of what they're doing and how they're exercising. And it's like, we don't really know what stress is. I think we think that stress is work stress. And when work stress isn't there, we sort of think that we aren't stressed. And that's what I kind of get from a lot of my clients. But I think we're living in a world that doesn't really serve women. And we're living in this masculine world that works from like 9 to 5, same day routines, same expectations, and women are trying to fit in. We're trying to do everything all at the same time. And actually, we're harming our bodies in the process, not to any fault of our own, but because we're not educated enough about what's going on inside of our bodies. So I really think, like, regardless of any other sort of stress that we know about, living out of alignment with what's happening in your body is causing you internal stress, whether you feel it right now or whether it's kind of manifesting in some way inside of the body, which a lot of it comes out in our menstrual cycles and our fertility. So that's kind of why stress has become such a big part for me, because I started working with women and it just was like stress was constantly the kind of backbone to everything that was going on. So I'm like, okay, let's look at how everything interlinks. And if we solve the stress stuff, we can heal the stuff that's showing on the outside of the body. It's like inside out. What's happening inside? And how do we use the outside life to heal the inside?
Yeah. So what do people normally say is happening in their lives? If they say that they are experiencing stress, what kind of things start to happen that you notice with women?
Constant illness, hair falling out, cycles go missing, periods are really painful, they're not conceiving, they're not sleeping. Sleep is a one I'm getting so much at the moment, like getting into bed and just the brain is swirling and swirling and swirling, and then they can't sleep or they wake up not eating, not having an appetite, not being able to rest. I think that's another one that obviously we work a lot with, helping people rest and do it guilt-free. So I can't rest. I'm too busy. I'm just too busy with everything. And I think even like the energy of stress, of very much living in your head, not feeling like you have time for yourself, and that rush. And I think that comes then into every aspect of daily life of like, I don't have any time for anything, but just surviving. It's like a survival mechanism that we're just in, trying to get through day after day. I think as well emotionally, like real emotional stuckness and stagnation and not feeling in flow. And I think that becomes really quite hard.
You speak so much about this idea of living in flow and living in sync with your cycle, your menstrual cycle. But for so many of us, like we can't not go to work 9 to 5. Like that's our job. And we can't do anything about our deadlines. And, you know, we've got other things in our lives. We've got, you know, partners, children, families, friends, etc.
Life,
all the things. So how are we meant to live in sync with our cycle when we've got all of this going on as well?
Yeah, I mean, life happens around us, doesn't it? It's like you can't just stop. Sorry, I'm bleeding. Everything has to stop. I can't do anything in my life. And I think a lot of people sometimes think that that's what cycle awareness and cyclical living is. But actually, I think the awareness is the biggest part for me. So you can either live your life completely disconnected and unaware of what's happening inside of your body and continue to push and push and push and push. And either one day you're going to crash or slowly you're going to notice things start to happen. Or you can live with an awareness. So, for example, like I know I'm going to be bleeding on Friday. So how do I prepare myself during the week to help my bleed? I know I've got a really big meeting on X day, but I'm going to be in X part of my cycle, maybe luteal phase, a bit more sensitive, a bit more in and not really wanting to be in a presentation or around other people. How do I help myself and how do I prepare? So I make extra notes, I practice more, I tell my teammates, like I ask for support around me. And I think it's that kind of stuff that can make such a difference, the awareness of where you are. And rather than hating on yourself and judging yourself and criticizing yourself, you actually take action steps to help yourself. And that makes such a difference. Like food, making sure we're eating enough, like that in itself, like especially after you've ovulated, supporting your energy levels through your luteal phase, through good nutrient dense food, is going to be a game changer for your PMS symptoms and then into your bleed. So I really think it's knowledge. Like, what's that saying? Like, knowledge is power. And I think it really is. You have the knowledge and then you become aware of it in your own life. And life does happen and we can't just change everything. But I think if you're doing something in awareness of what's happening inside of your body, you'll slowly be able to start making little changes that are going to help you in the long run.
I know this is like probably a whole separate podcast chat on its own. But for those who may not be fully aware of cyclical living and what is going on inside your body, let's talk maybe hormonally, energetically. What is happening at each phase of the cycle and what do we really need to be aware of? What are like the biggest things to know, to bring awareness to?
Yeah, I love cyclical living. So we've got our cycles, and our cycles like this beautiful flow that we move through. And I think this is where the sort of the masculine, feminine, and the lifestyles that we're trying to live comes in, because the male hormonal cycle is 24 hours. So he resets every single day. Whereas women have this like magical flow that takes us through a whole cycle length. So whereas the man cycle is resetting, we also have that cycle, but we also have our flowing cycle through our cyclical hormones. And that's what's really important to start catching. So we bleed, and the day that you have your first day of full flowing blood is day one of your cycle, and then you'll have your menstrual phase. Your menstrual phase is not supposed to be horrendously painful and making you sick and debilitating. So please, if there's that showing in your cycle, get investigating, because that's not okay. And I think that's something we've just become accustomed to having. I've got really bad period pain every single month. I hate on my body. This is just what happens because I'm a woman. And that's not the case.
True.
So yeah, whoever's listening, if that is going on for you, please get some support. Your body's not meant to hurt you. So bleeding is very much this inner reflective kind of like womb cocoon time. And yes, in an ideal world, you would spend at least day 1 and 2 at home resting. You could work from home. Like, how could you adjust your life to be a little bit more inner? You want to be eating lots of warm, nourishing food to help your blood keep flowing through your body, and really honor the fact that your body is shedding a lining. So some people are like, oh, should I go to the gym and should I go and do this? And maybe I'll go out socializing. Like, but do you want to do that when you're bleeding? Because your body is literally shedding a lining. So honoring that huge energetic need to shed by inviting in rest. And then you'll notice maybe sort of day 3, day 4, your energy starts to rise up. We move into the follicular phase. Really, the follicular phase also starts on day 1. But for this sake, we'll have menstrual phase and follicular phase. And the follicular phase is when the follicles start developing and getting excited. One of them is going to be picked at ovulation to pop out and maybe be fertilized or whatever's happening. I always like to imagine all the follicles being like, pick me, pick me, pick me.
It's so cute.
Coming to life. And with that, there's like a newness, there's like a new energy. And it's, if you look at it seasonally, it's moving into springtime. So our energy starts to rise again. We want to be out and about in the world. We want to see people. We want to fill up our calendars a little bit more. We're not necessarily as hungry, but we want to be eating lots of blood-rich, blood-nourishing foods because we've lost a lot of blood. So really replenishing our blood. And you'll notice that you want to do a little bit more exercise. You have a little bit more energy to give. It's better time to work in the office, to be in a team. And then you rise up to your peak. So we've got bleed, and then you're rising, and then you have your ovulation at the peak time, which ovulation, most people have lots of energy, lots more want to be in the world. Some people don't. Some people find it really overwhelming. So that's why cycle tracking and your own cycle comes into play. And then you unwind through the luteal phase. And I think the luteal phase is sometimes the one where if we can make some changes there, the biggest difference happens for the rest of our cycle, because it's just to be really aware that your energy is declining. And that's okay. Nothing's wrong with you, but your energy is starting to decline. So don't try and push through the same routines. Start then to honor, okay, maybe you need to sleep in a little bit longer. You really need to prioritize having a good protein-rich, warm breakfast. Exercise becomes maybe lighter weights, slower stuff, Pilates, yoga, like practices that don't stress out the body, and sleep, prioritizing sleep and just all the restful stuff. And then you wind down and come into bleed, and our cycle starts all over again. And it's like in one half we have estrogen, which is this like fun, sociable, flirty hormone. And the other we have progesterone, which is like slow, needing lots of nourishment and care. And if you just think about it in these two halves, one you rise up and the other you unwind. And we can't be the same all cycle long. Like our hormones just, all we're doing by trying to be the same is pushing against what's naturally happening inside of the body. So just knowing that it's okay that you feel different, that nothing's wrong with you, you're not going mad. This is just what's happening as we move through our menstrual cycles. And nourishing yourself and looking after yourself and your own energy levels can really make such a difference on your cycle health and your mental health as well.
Thank you for sharing that. You explain it really beautifully. And I was just saying before we hit record that, you know, I found out this information when I was, 37 or something ridiculous. And I had been a woman for 37 years and no one had actually explained this to me. And I felt so ripped off, but like, who was going to teach it to us? We don't learn it at school. This information wasn't taught to our mothers or even our grandmothers. We've got to go back a lot further than that to kind of get back into that place where, the patriarchy didn't push us into this really masculine 9 to 5, go, 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 you're the same every day of the month kind of mindset. So I think it is such a gift now to be able to share this and teach women about this, because it only ever changes when we change. So thank you for all that you do and sharing that. It is.
Thanks, my love.
Isn't it just so nice to go, I don't really feel like doing a lot today, and my body is telling me that for a reason, and to honor that and just embrace it. It's just such a relief.
It's a relief, and it's like a big fat permission slip to be like, I'm going to rest. Because I think we have to be the same every day. So, sometimes you'll wake up in the morning, and I get this around like day 22, day 23, and I wake up and I'm just in a little bit of a worse mood. And I'm still a bit tired, and I can just feel my energy a little bit stuck. But rather than be like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? Like, what's happened? Am I depressed? What's happening? I'm just like, it's just day 22 of my cycle, and I'm going to get up, I'm going to shift my energy, and I'm going to journal about it, and then I'm going to be okay. And I think that's where the awareness comes into it, because you're not supposed to be the same every day. Like, as a woman with an active menstrual cycle, we do go through a flow. And the more you can start paying attention and catching the changes, then the easier life is going to be.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so exciting when you start to really just live in tune with it. And those little changes, like you said, make such a big difference. So
yeah, they really do. And I think that's where a lot of the stress stuff comes, because if we think about having these two distinct hormones or two distinct real halves of the rise and the unwind with estrogen and progesterone, and we're living against that and we're trying to live flatlined, that's stressful. So even if you don't think that you're stressed and lots of things don't feel stressful, living out of alignment with your body is causing stress for the body.
Absolutely. So can we go a bit deeper into that? As I love to talk about stress, which sounds like a stupid thing to say. But I think that obviously I work with women who are struggling to conceive, and stress is the one constant in their life.
Yeah, of course.
And it comes at you from so many angles when you're trying to conceive. It's all consuming. So how can just these little changes of living and recognizing what your cycle needs really make a difference? Maybe can we talk about like what happens to the nervous system when it is experiencing this stress?
Yeah. I mean, trying to conceive in itself is a stressful experience, isn't it? And then all the things that kind of come around that. So just, so much love to anybody who's going through that, because it's a lot. And again, it's like, it's okay that it's a lot, and it's okay to feel that. I think, well, when we're stressed, the body kicks in to save us. So our nervous systems haven't evolved like the world has evolved for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And if you think about what was stressful thousands and thousands of years ago, an animal would be chasing a man and he would be worried about his life, or a woman would be worried about their lives. And the body then kicks in to be like, this animal may eat me, so I need to run to save my life. So the nervous system, the response to that is fight or flight. So it kicks in and it does what it can to help you run for your life. And when you think you're in danger, there's not a very good time to have a baby, and it's not a very good time to go to the toilet. So the reproductive system and the digestive system kind of get ignored whilst your body's trying to save your life. So that was what it was thousands of years ago. And it's still the same today, but the stress is very different. So instead of it actually being something where we need to run, and that running then burns off all the excess energy of the stress, we discharge it and go back to normal. What happens today is we're sitting at a laptop and we get a rude email or something really annoys us. And rather than run and shake it off, we are like, I'm really annoyed about this. And you feel tense in your body, and then you hold it in your body, and then you carry on feeling stressed and contracted for the whole entire day. You have a fight with your partner, you miss breakfast, you have coffee on an empty stomach, you exercise too hard. All of that stuff kicks your nervous system into, I need to save my life. And then the fight or flight kicks in, and we're then stuck in this kind of perpetuous saving your life stress response that we're not really taught how to get out of. And so when we're staying stuck, the body is constantly thinking it needs to save your life. And in that state, the reproductive system doesn't get looked at because it's trying to save your life. And I think that's something that we don't really think about that much. And for me, it comes down to safety and making you and your body feel safe through the things that you do in your day-to-day lifestyle to help you get out of kind of stress response into the rest and digest, which is parasympathetic nervous system.
That's such a lovely explanation. And, you say that it doesn't really get looked at a lot. And I don't think that any doctor really addresses that. They don't go, oh, how stressed do you feel? Oh, what a surprise. Your menstrual cycle is completely out of whack. I have
Just
countless students. Take the pill.
Yeah.
Oh my God, if I had $1. But I have countless students who come to me and they say, look, I don't understand. I used to have a perfect 28-day cycle. I had no PMS. Everything was fine. And then 6 to 12 months down the line, they've been trying to conceive and things aren't happening. All of a sudden, they're getting painful periods. They're ovulating, day 9 one month, day 19 the next. It's completely unpredictable. Their periods are spotty and scanty. Like it has such an effect on your body. And when you can make little changes, I find it's these little things that you can do, like what you said, not having coffee on an empty stomach, or finding ways to let your body unravel and unwind and let go of the stress, or, get rid of that cortisol, the adrenaline, the norepinephrine. Like, you need to burn it off somehow.
Yeah.
Finding ways to let it go. It does make such a big, big difference in
it really
body.
does. And I think that's really interesting you said that about kind of burning it off, because I think a lot of humans think that going to the gym and like doing something really strenuous
so true
really helps that. And yes, there is a release that comes, but actually if your body is already very stressed, pushing yourself really hard through exercise is an added stress. So actually we're just increasing the stress levels and we're kind of just squashing ourselves under all these stresses. But we think that's what we should be doing. We think fasting is what we should be doing. And I think everybody is trying their best with the information that we're given. Yeah, cold plunge. The fads. If it's a fad, just avoid it.
Intermittent fasting and cold plunging, way to really wreck your fertility. I think
it really is. And I think that your body's constantly sending you messages. And if the messages of your menstrual cycle are pain, spotting, irregular, heavy, it's a sign that something's not going that right. And it's a sign that something needs investigating, and it's not solved with pills. I mean, we mentioned this before on the call. Sometimes, yes, there really is medical reasons behind things. And for those instances, it's amazing that we have such amazing healthcare. But a lot of the time, and I would say 95% of the women I work with, it's lifestyle. It's lifestyle and it's stress management. And when we cure that, and it's not through massive changes. I think living a fertile life is I can't have anything that I love. I can't do anything fun. I just have to restrict. And actually, it's not like that at all. It is just like you said, it's the small, simple things that you're doing that actually just look after you and nourish you. They're not hard and scary and expensive. Like, have breakfast every day. Have breakfast with an hour of waking up. It's really easy. It's a really easy thing to do. And then have your coffee and caffeinated drink afterwards. Start there. And then you can add in, but that will make such a difference. Your body feeling safe first thing in the morning. And when the body feels safe, it can release stress and get back into the space of safety where it can heal.
Definitely. And you mentioned it was so pleased that you picked that up, this idea I've got to get all my stress out at the gym, because that is such a common mindset, that especially people who like to exercise, and it does make you feel good because it releases endorphins, but that isn't all that it does. And obviously, because we are both yoga teachers, I have a lot of students that were like, well, I do yoga. I mean, that must be fine for the body. And then you sort of dig a little deeper and it's like, yeah, well, what kind of yoga are you doing? And they're doing hot power vinyasa classes 5-6 days a week, and still no, there's still a balance there, right?
It is. I'm guilty. So I started my yoga journey. My mum got me into yoga actually, and I was like, Mum, it's just breathing. I'm really not interested. I was lived my 20s waking up, setting my alarm, dragging myself out of bed, empty stomach, running to the gym, pushing myself through a gym workout, walking to work, coffee, cereal bar, banana. It was all I'd eaten. So 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So I was that. I liked that. I was living in my stress response constantly, even though I had no idea that I was doing it. So and then my entry to yoga was Bikram, because it still felt like something that was going to make me look good from the outside. And that was where I was. I was doing exercise, not to feel necessarily. I mean, it made me feel good, but I did it because I wanted to look good. And it was my own journey of kind of shedding all of that, like shedding all these external things to be like, what's actually good for my insides? And now I mainly teach yin. So I lie on the floor with loads of bolsters, and it's like 100 miles away from what I used to do and what I thought I was going to go into through my yoga journey. But you're right. It's like, it's the powers, it's the real strength stuff, and everything has its place, but we just need to get back to balance. And that's why people are like, I want to do spin and I want to go to power yoga and I want to do all these things. And like, you can do those, but actually first we need to make your body feel safe. And a lot of that is the slower stuff that we share and that we teach, because that's what we're missing. So the balance is completely off.
Oh, you completely answered the question I was going to ask. So thank you. Yeah.
Great.
So you mostly teach yin, which is beautiful, and it has a lot of similarities to restorative yoga, which is a lot of the work that I do with my students as well. But you also teach TRE. Can you talk through a little bit about what is TRE and how does it help all of this?
Yeah, I love TRE. So TRE, for those who haven't heard of it, because actually not a lot of people have heard of it, and I'm really finding that. And it's a shame. And I really hope that we can change that, because it's such a powerful practice. So TRE originally stood for trauma release exercises. It's now called tension release exercises. And I call it unwinding. I find it a softer way to kind of describe the practice. But it was created by a man called David Bocelli, and he studied kind of the stress response in adults. And he noticed that kids would go through something and then shake it off and tremble and then just carry on like nothing had ever happened. And adults wouldn't do that. And adults would want to tremble and shake, but actually we'd hold it in because we didn't want to show anybody that we might be a little bit nervous or we were a bit scared or anything like that. So we started like, okay, what's happening? What does this trembling, shaking do to the body to help release any stress? And so he created this practice to get the body into a space to be able to shake, because we are designed to shake off stress, tension, and trauma. And if you look at an animal and it's chased by something that's going to eat it, it will run. And then once it's free from danger, it will shake and reset and then carry on like nothing has ever happened. And that's what humans want to do. Even young children do it. Like if you allow a kid to shake, it's just the kid shaking to release any stress or discharge or upset that it's been through. Whereas humans are like, I am okay, everything is okay, and I'm just going to hold everything in my body. And then we're walking around tense and contracted all the time. Like we don't always look rounded, but our poor muscles are like contracted. Our poor fascia is like making us these rounded beings. And TRE basically works by, we work with the psoas muscles. I love the psoas muscles. I think they're just such magical muscles. They're the deep hip flexor muscles that attach to the lower ribs and kind of move through the center of the body into the top of the femur. And they're the muscles of stress and contraction. So if we're trying to protect ourselves and we're contracting in, the psoas muscles tighten. And what this practice does is open up, and we come into a shape where the body is able to activate the natural response to stress and trauma and tension, which is to shake. So all we're doing is letting the body know it's okay. So rather than block it in, we're like, okay, body, we're here, we're safe. Like, I'm going to allow you to release what you're holding on to. And my first experience was in Bali 4 years ago. And I thought, what is this practice? This is ridiculous. I'm doing these really ridiculous, simple shapes. And I noticed these people crying and really shaking. And I was like, what is happening? And before I knew it, I was in floods of tears and I cried for about 5 hours. And it released something that I hadn't actually dealt with in my life, some grief that I sort of suppressed away. And I was like, wow, it just, your body knows that your body is holding on to all of the things that we've been through. And we're not taught how to release it. And what TRE does is it helps your body to release all of the stress and tension and the traumas that we've been through, because we've all been through traumas, whether they're massive traumas or smaller traumas, that we've all been through traumas. We're humans living in this world. And it enables the body to naturally shake off this stress and tension. And with that, your nervous system rebalances and regulates. You stop getting so reactive. Your cycles can heal. I mean, I have a lot of success with like period pains. I use it a lot in fertility work. I think with this holding on and contraction that we go through, this I'm okay, infertility, that is really huge. And we don't necessarily share what we're going through. And actually, that just becomes tight and tighter and tighter and tighter in the body. And there is a control that comes with fertility. I mean, there's a control that comes with all of us in our lives. We want control. And one of the reasons I love TRE so much is because it makes you let go of control. And so we control every movement that we do in our bodies through the conscious mind, but the stress response is subconscious. So we actually need to allow our subconscious to take over to release the stress. And through that, we have to let go of control. So you're lying on the floor, letting go of control. And it's like, oh, my body's moving. And I'm not telling my body to move. But there's so many people, the first time they do it, they're like, I don't know if I was doing it or that my body was doing it, but I don't know what just happened. I don't know what's happened. And then it becomes a familiar pattern, and it is such a blissful experience. And it's all about the body. Like everything I do is all about the body. There's enough top-down stuff that it's talking and processing. But if we're talking about it, but not shifting it from our body, it's going to stay stuck. So actually, this is like therapy for the body, because you don't have to talk about what's going on. You don't have to relive it. You don't have to process it. You just get the body into a space where she can shake it off and she can process it without your mind having to get involved. And there's something really like powerful in just allowing the body to do her thing, not controlling her, not telling her what to do, just being like, right, I'm giving you the space to heal in the way that you know how to heal. And so I'm going to do this. And then when you do that and you see your body move, it regains such a love and respect, I think, for the human body. Yeah, a lot of things in there, but it's such a, it's just such a beautiful practice. And I think it's real. I find it very feminine because you get to receive the healing. And I think a lot of things, again, we're controlling. It's masculine. We're not forcing it, but we're making it happen. But in TRE, you do just literally lie down and surrender. And that, and I think in itself is such an important part of the practice, that surrendering to just your body and what is there.
Yeah. It's so interesting what you said about, there's enough top-down work, which is this idea of intellectualizing and cognitively analyzing what you've been through. And don't get me wrong, I think you need both. Like there is such a place for that. We need to understand and, go through what we go through. But there isn't enough of this bottom-up approach where it's allowing the body to approach healing in the way that it wants to. And I had a similar experience the first time I tried a TRE session. I didn't really know what to expect. And I'm pretty open to things. And a friend convinced me to try it. And I was just crying for a long time. But I felt wonderful afterwards. And I didn't really have I'm feeling stressed about this today thought when I came into the class. It was just stuff my body had clearly been holding on to that I didn't even realize.
And so that's the power, isn't it? You just let go of something. You don't even know what it was. It might be something from when you were 2 years old, and it
doesn't matter.
Issues. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's the thing, and the beautiful book, the Bessel van der Kolk book, The Body Keeps the Score, he talks about practitioners that work with trauma healing work, and you don't really need to know what the trauma is as a practitioner with your person. And sometimes you don't need to know either. So often I'll have a release in, a breathwork session, and I do a lot of shaking and TRE stuff with breathwork. I find for myself it works beautifully. And sometimes I'll think, what was that memory? And most of the time there is no memory. It's just my body doing its thing. And you always feel better afterwards. So you don't need to necessarily know what you're releasing. Just know that your body is so clever that it will do it for you.
Yeah, so and it's like trusting your body, isn't it? And I think we lose trust again, especially in fertility, if your body's not, and also with our cycles, if your body is hurting you or not giving you something that you want, we lose faith, we lose trust, we start to dislike our bodies, and there is this real separation of like head to body, and the head just runs the show. And I think using a practice like TRE to drop you back into your body and help you regain trust is really powerful on a journey to conceive.
So powerful. And not just that journey, but my goodness, the way it serves you like beyond during pregnancy, birth, having a baby in your life, these things that I think, if you can heal them while you're trying to conceive, the difference it makes in your life as a flow-on effect, I think is incredible.
Yeah. And with TRE, it becomes this little like pocket of self-care that you can take for yourself, just like yoga shapes and the practices that I'm sure you share in all of your work. It's like building your self-care toolbox, like not just to have a baby, not just to heal your menstrual cycle. It's sustainable. And I think we live in this world that's like short-term fix. I want this one thing now, and I'm going to do all these things, get this one thing now. And actually, if you take a step back and look at it from the bigger picture, which again is all this holistic stuff and looking at all the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle, so, right, what can you do now to, yes, help you conceive, but also help you keep the baby, have a great pregnancy, have a great connected birth, and then be a great parent? And it's like this sustainable change rather than these short-term fixes. And I think sometimes it takes a little bit longer doing it this way, but it will always be better.
That's it. It's not the quick fix version.
It's not like, take a pill, just do this.
As much as I sometimes wish it was, but no, the benefit doesn't come there. So what does TRE look like in terms of if someone wanted to get started? I mean, it's not like you can just go to your local TRE studio and do a class. It's few and far between, I find. Does it work online? How does it connect? How can people connect with it?
God, I wish there was loads of TRE studios around.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yoga studio, yes. So I always think it's best to try it with somebody else. You can find things on YouTube, and with everything, you can do it on your own. But I just think being held is something that we don't give ourselves enough. And actually, there is so much in allowing yourself to surrender into somebody holding you to help you surrender into your body. So I would always say find a practitioner. Yes, it works online. Yes, it works in person. Again, I mean, we were talking about this before, weren't we? The ease and accessibility for each individual person is going to be different. I teach both online and in person. And I work with women for a minimum of 3 sessions to help them build their own practice and feel safe in their body. And then I work with them through on-demand stuff that then they can do in their own life. So it becomes this pocket of self-care. So we get the practice to about a 20-minute space, and great before you go to bed to help you sleep. Like, you'll never have sleeping issues if you shake before you go to bed. I'm not claiming that, but it's a really amazing way to disconnect your day to night and allow you to sleep. So yeah, I find a practitioner and learn about your body. And I think that is such a great way to start with it. Just like understanding that your body's holding on to a lot, and all the tension you're feeling and the pain that you're feeling. And if something is not going right and no medical tests can find it, like, what about exploring it from the body rather than the kind of top-down research heavy medical way?
Isn't that? And I always find that you can keep doing that. You can go and have lab tests done, and you can go and see whatever specialist, but what do you have to lose from exploring it from another perspective as well? It doesn't have to be one or the other. And I find that gives people so much power. They're like, oh, I don't have to do one or the other. I can do both. And maybe I can approach this from a different way. And then there are things people fall in love with, and it makes such a difference. So.
Yeah, and it is that. It's like doing both. And I work with women as well going through IVF, because it's like a prep. It's a care before and then it's an after. And again, like, IVF is absolutely incredible. The fact that is here is just like a mind-blowing invention. I think it's an invention. Is that what's called? But you support yourself, like support your mental health, your nervous system, your body feeling safe, like support yourself around the process. And I think a lot of the time when we're kind of quite knee deep into any kind of health journey, I guess, and also fertility, I call it fertility roller coaster now. I don't think journey does it justice. I think it's a fertility roller coaster.
Accurate.
Within that, like, we just allow other people to tell us what to do with our bodies, and actually learning practices for yourself and learning about your cycle and learning how to look after yourself. It's empowering. So you go into these sometimes quite scary medical settings, feeling empowered in your body and feeling connected to your body. And that is only going to greatly improve your chances of success. So, like you said, why not do both? Like, why not be supporting yourself so that it's like, it's not having the baby as the goal. It's about doing it in a way that you actually stay like mentally and physically well.
Isn't that a beautiful way to approach it? Oh, Laura, I love this conversation so much. This is awesome.
So much to talk about. We could be here for hours.
I know, so much. Where can people find you if they want to get in touch and just learn more about what you do, or they find that some of these things sound pretty interesting?
Yeah, I mean, if you listen to this and want to ask me any questions, feel free. I love chatting about this. And the best place is Instagram. So I'm at Laura J. Wilkes. Wilkes is Wilkes. People always miss off the E. So yeah, I'm over there and everything is there. There's links to all of my bits and bobs. TRE, I teach it in a group program as well so that you can learn it and be supported with other women. And I think community is just so important. I teach it on retreats, so there's lots of different ways to access it, as well as all the yin yoga that I do, which we again could be a whole other podcast because that's an amazing part of the fertility roller coaster too. But yeah, over on Instagram, I think is just the best way.
Amazing. Laura, thank you so much for today and just for everything that you do and put out there and share with women, because I think it's so incredibly important. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here today and listening right to the end of this episode. Isn't she fabulous? I just feel like I could hang out with Laura every day of the week and just keep asking her questions about all of the work she does. It's just so important and so timely. And I hope that you got a lot out of that. So on the next episode of the podcast, I am going to be speaking to the very well-known fertility coach, Elizabeth King, about the mindset shifts that she made, which helped her to fall pregnant naturally and have 3 children at the ages of 41, 42, and 44, and how she now teaches other women to do the same. Definitely an episode that you won't want to miss. So until then, I am sending you all my wishes as you continue your own journey to fertility. The most common thing I hear from students who are on their fertility journey is that the stress of trying to conceive has taken over their life. Your days end up being filled with endless appointments, navigating pregnancy announcements. You're trying to eat right, take all your supplements, and it is all you think about from the moment you wake up. I designed the Element Fertility Yoga course to support your body, your mind, and your mental health in 3 important ways: to synchronize your hormones, increase circulation and blood flow, and to help regulate your nervous system. But on top of this, the greatest gift that you can give yourself throughout this journey is a sense of peace, to help you calm your mind and just make this process feel easier. Every single one of my students tell me that this is the first thing they notice after starting a yoga, meditation, and breathwork practice. But on top of this, you have the amazing benefit of actually supporting and increasing your fertility. Studies have shown that those participating in mind-body programs as they're trying to conceive have success rates 3 times greater than those who don't. The course I've designed walks you through natural conception as well as fertility treatments and IVF cycles. And the best part is you can work through it at your own pace in the comfort of your home. The practices start from just 10 minutes per day. To learn more, visit elementpilatesyoga.com or see the link in the show notes.